What is going on, Niner fans? We are live. We are live. Let's talk about it. We had two big departures on the 49ers defense. I want to talk all about it. How's everybody doing? It's been a busy day. Today's more about losing players so far. We can't re sign everybody. Unfortunately, the 49ers, we knew they were going to have a different look this year. One of the things that Jimmy Ward said in his last press conference is the 49ers are going to look very different, and they look very different so far already. Joshua says sad news today. Michelle says super sad about losing Eman and Aziz. Nia, all heartbroken emojis is all they can. All we can post is heartbreaking emojis. Right? Nia says Spain without the S. It's tough. This is the tough part of the season. In the off season when you lose players, unfortunately, some of it you see coming. But even if you see it coming, it's tough as a fan. So let's get right into it. So the first big loss of the day is Emmanuel Mosley, cornerback. He signs with the Detroit Lions, 1 year, $6 million. I mean, it's relatively low contract, but he is coming off of a massive injury, a massive ACL tear. He has had injuries through his career. It sucks. You want to give him a prove-it deal, so I'm guessing the 49ers didn't offer him $6 million, and he goes with Detroit, who gave him $6 million to play 1 year. And if he can stay healthy and on the field, boom, he can turn that into a bigger deal. He's a great player. And unfortunately for him, though, the injuries did hit him. And it cost him. I know the 49ers really wanted to bring him back last year. He was having a hell of a season. And at one point, they did offer him a contract. This is behind-the-scenes stuff. But, he wanted to bet on himself and wait till the offseason. Unfortunately, the injury hit him, and they extended Dre Greenlaw that week. That was the game after Seattle, the Seattle game, and, week 2. So it's unfortunate news for Emmanuel Mosley and the Niners, but they got to part ways. He's a tough guy, a gritty player, very physical. I mean, he shut down big-time receivers many times. I mean, he was DK Metcalf's father at times. Locked down Mosley. This guy was undrafted. He stepped into this role. I remember Richard Sherman was there, took him under his wing. He mentored him and made him a top-flight cornerback. This guy was just this lanky, cornerback out of Tennessee. Nobody knew him, and Richard Sherman got to work on him and really made him this really solid corner. So definitely unfortunate to see him go, but it makes sense to me in a business standpoint. I get it. The fan in me is like, oh man, I really love E-Man. He's going to be a tough loss. But you got to realize they have to save money, and they're going to have some players that they're going to have to step into bigger roles. And it's time for them to take the, next step in their career. And the guy to me that replaces Emmanuel Mosley is the guy that replaced him last year. It's Deommodore Lenoir, Deommodore Lenoir played very well down the stretch. I know a lot of people, he was there. A lot of people hate Deommodore Lenoir. I don't know why, but man, I'm telling you, Lenoir really stepped up in the playoffs. He was getting interceptions and PBUs and solid game. But again, he's got to step up. He's got a big task on his shoulders. He needs to get a little bit more physical, a little bit more aggressive, but he's going to be the guy. Now that's going to be on the opposite side of Charvarius Ward, unless they make a big move, unless they go sign somebody big time in the draft. But right now, based on the roster, projected starters got to be Deommodore Lenoir. And he played really good down the stretch, man. Next man up. It's tough to see Emmanuel Mosley go, but you got this guy, Deommodore Lenoir. He's a 5th-round pick, so he's playing on his rookie contract. So that right there is the key. You got Emmanuel Mosley, who's playing for a $6 million contract in Detroit, but you have Deommodore Lenoir, who's on a rookie contract, and he was a 5th-round pick. The 49ers do a pretty damn good job in 5th-round picks. Let's go through them. Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, George Kittle. Those guys are all 5th-round picks. You know what I mean? So the 49ers, if their history can repeat itself, Lenoir can turn into a very solid player. And looking at his contract situation, like I said, you're going to save a lot of money compared to Emmanuel Mosley. Unfortunately, you lose a guy that is a young star in the making, and he was on pace to have a Pro Bowl season last year. But it's unfortunate that he had these injuries, throughout his career. It wasn't just last year. He did have some times where he had hamstring pulls, and he missed some time. It sucks, but you got to get a guy that can stay healthy and make it through a season. And now though, the 49ers still need depth. I think that's the big issue is 49ers need to make sure they have depth, because you have Sam Womack, you have Deommodore Lenoir, you have Mooney Ward, and you have Ambry Thomas. Those are your corners right now. The right, nobody really knows Ambry Thomas, what he can do. He had some flashes in his rookie season. He had the big pick to send the 49ers in the playoffs. We remember that game against the Rams. Other than that, he really hasn't showed much. Sam Womack, I think, will compete for the nickel. But to me, they're going to still probably sign a veteran here and draft a guy. So Mosley, you wanted to bring him back because you get depth. And I think that's the biggest issue is now we need to continue to stack depth. Going back to Diamond Lenore, he's 24 years old. He's played 2 years. His 2023 salary cap charge is about $1 million. So you got to look at it as $1 million for Diamond Lenore on the salary cap hit versus Manny Mosley. He just signed a 1 year, $6 million deal. So you see where I'm saying? You got to find some places to save money if you're the 49ers, because you still have to bring back Bosa. You can't make every player a splash player, and you have to find ways to cut, money on your roster. And again, Diamond Lenore, he played very solid down the stretch last season. So that, to me, is the big move right there. You're going to replace Emmanuel Mosley with Lenore. So who can we pick up? I mean, whoever's left at free agency. But again, you got to realize the 49ers have a small budget, a tight budget. And if they're not going to pay a guy $6 million in Emmanuel Mosley, you can imagine they're probably looking to pay someone between $2 and $3 million at that cornerback spot. But again, Lenore's making $1 million against the cap. So you have to figure it out. You have to factor that kind of stuff. Okay, if you want to get another cornerback, now do you think he's going to be a starter? If he's a starter, you have to pay him more than $1 million because Lenore right now would be your starter. If he's not a starter, you pay him within $1 million. You get him in there to compete maybe with Lenore. So that's what I'm looking at. When I'm looking at who are they going to sign, you got to look at the cap space, the dollars, and it just makes more sense for the Niners financially to keep Diamond Lenore as their cornerback 2 right now and go sign some depth pieces. And again, you have 11 draft picks. That's where I think they're going to go fortify their team. And it's what the 49ers do. They get great players. They develop them. They have some players that they become stars eventually. Maybe Diamond Lenore can become a star. We don't know. Maybe he can. He had some good playoff games last year. It really was impressive. I remember sitting here, everybody doubted Diamond Lenore, and here he was every week getting an interception. So I'm hoping Diamond Lenore continues to shine because I got his back. I've had his back since day one, and everybody that doubts him is going to look silly to me. So I'm hyped up for Diamond. But again, as a fan, I get it. It does make you sick losing these players. So let's take a look at some of these comments here. Debbie says, I know that there will all be gains and losses in free agents. Some just hurt bad. It's true. It does suck to lose players. It's going to happen. Like, this one was surprising to me. I did think they were going to keep Emmanuel Mosley. I didn't think they were going to let him slip away. But I think that dollar sign was what it was. If you see the contract, $6 million. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, why can't they match $6 million? I just told you right there, Diamond Lenore is 1 year or $1 million against the cap. And that's what it comes down to is if the 49ers probably could have got him for $2 to $3 million, I think they would have been okay with it. But $6 million is out of their range right now. They're at the bottom end of the cap. They had to restructure Mooney Ward's deal to allow them to get Jake Brendel. So it's tough, but I get where they're coming from. When you look at this from a business standpoint, it does make sense. I hate that because it is a business, and you can't mix your feelings with business sometimes. As I've been, seeing this team and covering this team over the years, when I was like so fan, I was like, oh my, and I let my emotions get to me. But now seeing it from the business side and other perspective and talking to players and seeing every other angle of it, it sucks, but it makes a lot of sense. It is definitely unfortunate for the fan, but you got to not attach yourself to these players. And that's what I tell myself every year coming into free agency. You cannot attach yourself into this, into the play. You just can't get emotionally involved. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at some more of these questions. It says, S Flood says, what's going on? Best part of being homesick is these Raj bombs all day. Yo, appreciate you, man. We've been dropping bombs left and right. We've been keeping up to point. It's been a fun week, man. Staying up to date. I hope you guys have been enjoying me keeping you up to date with all the news. I'm sure there's many people out there, but I'm glad you guys can stay locked in with me and hear what I got to say. Appreciate y'all. Alberto says, do you think Bosa is more excited to get Javon Hargrave or sad not to get E-Man back? I think he's probably going to be excited to get Javon Hargrave because that's going to make his job easier. I'm sure he's going to miss Emmanuel Mosley because he's a teammate, brother on a team. They got that vibe together because they played together. They went to war together. But you got to remember this. Javon Hargrave's going to make his job a lot easier, and Nick Bosa that's what he wants. He wants his job to be a little easier so he can go out there and dominate in the trenches. I think he's going to be so hyped to get a guy like Javon Hargrave. But at the same time, I'm sure he's going to miss his teammate. I feel like it's the same amount. You're going to miss a guy as much as you're excited to get a guy that's going to make your job a little easier. So definitely going to miss. I think the whole team will miss Emmanuel Mosley. Again, gritty player, very tough, very physical. He worked his way all the way up the roster. But now it's time to go after, some other younger players and maybe get some other depth somewhere else and let Lenore get his chance. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but time to move on. And speaking of time to move on, the other player that the 49ers lost today was another undrafted free agent that worked his way up the roster. Look what the 49ers do. They get undrafted free agents that become very good players for their team, and that's Aziz Al-Shaair, linebacker. Aziz Al-Shaair, he is going to the Titans today. He's going to the Titans today, man, according to Deanna Rossini, as you noticed. And that's the end of the linebacking trio era of Greenlaw, Warner, and Aziz Al-Shaair. It's tough to see that. I was a little surprised. I wasn't surprised that he's leaving because we knew that Aziz was leaving. He kind of wrote that message yesterday, goodbye to the faithful, blah, 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 blah. I knew he was leaving. But the thing that really surprised me was he went to the Titans. They must have bagged him up. I haven't seen the details of his contract, but he's going to the Titans and not the Texans. I thought he was going to Houston with DeMeco, so he surprised me on that. But I saw that coming. We all saw that coming. It's tough to see Aziz leave, but he needed to become a star. He deserves to be number one linebacker. He was in the shadow of Greenlaw and Warner. He needed to get the chance to be linebacker one on his own team. And Fred Warner said that earlier in the offseason, like he needs a chance to become Fred Warner, right? The next big star on a team. So I'm happy for Aziz, man. It's the next journey in his chapter, as he stated on his IG post. It's the next journey for me. I'm excited to see his journey. This guy's another guy, worked his ass off, undrafted. He came into the Niners from Florida Atlantic, I believe. And he was a guy that was really, really good in college, but he tore his ACL. The Niners took him undrafted, worked his way up, and, man, he developed into a very underrated player. I mean, this guy was ferocious. And we're going to miss him, but I think the 49ers do a great job in developing linebackers and finding undrafted talent to go in and step in. So I know the 49ers are going to find a good linebacker. 100% have no, problem with the 49ers in line. I know they're going to be able to fix it. It's tough because you don't want to see the end of the era, Aziz, Warner, and Greenlaw. You love these players, but it's time for him to go and spread his wings and become a superstar in the league. So shout out to Aziz. He deserves it, man. He deserves to get a big shot. But I definitely thought he was going to DeMeco. One guy to keep an eye out on for the 49ers in replacing Aziz Al-Shaair is Marcelino McCrary-Ball. We talked about him last year. I talked about him with Larry Krueger a couple weeks ago when he re-signed his contract with the 49ers. They brought him back. Marcelino McCrary-Ball was a preseason warrior, really good in training camp, and I noticed a lot out of him last year. Undrafted guy, just like Aziz. I think that's the guy they're going to really develop. Short stature type, explosive linebacker. Just really, really good knack for the ball, good IQ. He's able to track the ball down. Got good instincts. He's quick on his feet, good lateral movements. I think that's the guy that they're going to really try to replace Aziz Al-Shaair in. And unless they go get another big guy in draft or something, because the 49ers know how to get linebackers. It's tough to see Aziz go again. As the fan in me hates it because I love the trio of Greenlaw, Aziz, and Warner. Those guys were freaking dogs together. They didn't play a lot together, though, because there was injuries. Greenlaw and Aziz had injuries throughout the season. So I hope Aziz can stay healthy and, take advantage of this opportunity that he's getting with the Titans, man. They released some players themselves. They released some players over the last couple months. And, they have Ran Carthon. You got to remember, the Titans have Ran Carthon as their GM. He used to be he was a player professional development guy. He was in the 49ers front office. Ran Carthon, he's now the GM of the Titans. So I'm sure Ran Carthon was like, hey, I got to go get Aziz Al-Shaair to me. So I know it's surprising that he didn't go to Houston because of DeMeco Ryans, but we got to remember there was a connection with Tennessee with Rand Carthon, and that's why he probably went to Tennessee. He probably got Rand probably reached out to him and said, "Hey, we will pay you more than any team out there, and here you go." And again, that's the connection. The 49ers have connections all over the league. They have the Texans, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Titans, the Washington Commanders, because they have Martin Mayhew, who's on there, who used to be on the 49ers front office. So all these coaches, all these players, all these executives that used to be on the 49ers, they're all over the world. They're all over the NFL, all over the NFL. And now they're able to go and get these former 49ers. So it's surprising he didn't go to Houston in one aspect, but it's not that surprising when you realize Rand Carthon is there with the Titans, and he took Aziz to him. He probably said, "Yo, Aziz, it's legal tampering period today. Yeah, you want to sign with the Titans? Oh, well, I got a deal with D'Amico here. You want me? Oh, what was that deal? What are the details?" And he tells him the details, and Rand says, "Okay, we'll do you one better. We'll give you more money than him." Boom, there you go. So that's it. I'm guessing, again, it's my hunch, that Rand Carthon gave him more money than Houston probably offered. That's my assumption per me. Don't quote me on that. So, just call me the connector. He's connecting all the dots. That's what we do. We connect the dots. We got the. That's it, man. That's exactly what it is. You got to realize there's so much talent in the NFL, and everybody's separated by like 6 degrees. I feel like any team can be connected to any team. Any player can be connected to any player if you really sit down and connect the dots, man. It's interesting though, and the 49ers, I feel, have probably some of the most connections in the league because everybody wants a piece of them, right? Every year, what do? We lose coaches, we lose executives, and we sit here, pull our hair out. Oh, we lost this guy, we lost this guy. But all those guys are around the league. They're former Niners, and former Niners are going to continue to go to those teams because they have all the connections. So, what do you guys think? Are you happy? Are you sad? Obviously, you're probably not happy losing players, but what do you guys think? Are you upset, with these moves, or are you accepting it? Or, are you optimistic? Are you thinking the 49ers are going to be shitty now next year? What's your vibe? Some fans, you lose players, they're screw John Lynch, screw Cows. They don't know what they're doing. There's fans that that think like that. What do you guys think? And if you are, it is what it is. Dre says 6 degrees of John Lynch. Gonna make that a thing. We make a new head coach every year. 100%, Camden. Big Time says losing E-Man over $6 million sucks. Yeah, it does suck when you think about the price. That it's a relatively cheap price, and you could have been able to keep him. But when you have a guy like Lenore, it's like, okay, it makes sense. I get it. No Border Sports. What's up, my man Ryan? No Border Sports. He says Mosley was the one I wanted to keep. Yeah, I remember we talked about it last week. Mosley was a guy you really wanted to keep. I did too. I definitely thought we were going to. Everything that I kind of heard through the grapevine, I felt like we were. But again, it comes down to that dollar amount, and it looks like the Niners weren't willing to go over what they wanted to spend. So, he gets the money he deserves. He deserves to get paid. He's a good corner, and I just hope he can stay healthy. That's it. So, Alberto says, I'm feeling good, bro. I believe in our GM, and we got good players in the come up. I agree. We always have good young players that we develop. 49ers do great things. They made a splash. Like, at this point, everything's icing on the cake. I'm happy the 49ers made a splash, man. AI says, E-Man would miss games due to injuries, so I don't see why people are upset. That's a good point. I absolutely love Emmanuel Mosley, but one thing I did mention at the beginning was one of the reasons he was able to be let go and he was, replaceable is because of the injuries. And I absolutely not trying to disrespect Emmanuel Mosley at all, but he has had a lot of injuries. And you're right, there was times where it's just like, damn, man, hamstring pull, this muscle. And it was frustrating when you see that because he could be such a good player, but then those injuries kind of hamper him. And then the ACL is just a horrible incident. That was a freak accident, He shouldn't have been on the field, though, when that injury happened. So it's unfortunate. And you're right. He did have a lot of injuries. And so far, Diamond Lenore, knock on wood, has been able to stay healthy through his career. And that's what we need. We need players that can stay healthy and are durable. And you go and stack up depth. So 49ers first takes, my man, Big Aaron. What's good? Go follow my boy. He says, get an edge in free agent. Losing E-Man sucks, but we will be fine. We'll be fine, guys. I agree. It's not the end of the world. He's not going to be a all-pro cornerback. Hey, shout out to Emmanuel Mosley. If he becomes an all-pro cornerback next year, I'll eat crow. But I mean, it's not like we're losing a guy. I mean, he very well could be because he's a good player and he wants to continue to get better. But it's not like we're losing a guy that already is an all-pro player. We're losing a solid player, but the 49ers can replace him. He was an undrafted player, and the 49ers, like we talked about, are very good at developing young players. And eventually they can get a guy that can step in. But I mean, again, tough loss, but the 49ers will be fine, and I agree with that. A Boogie. Yeah, Debbie says, what do we always say? Trust the process, 100%. A Boogie says, did we lose faith in Ambry Thomas? My question, do we have faith in Ambry Thomas at any point? Did the fans have faith? I know I did. I know I saw some good shades, some good flashes in his rookie season, but I just don't know he did enough to impress Kyle and this staff, this coaching staff through training camp, and that's what he's looking for, because he's looking for, okay, year one, it is what it is. You're a rookie. You put your game on film and whatever. He wants to see you come in camp and see what you've made as improvements and things like that. The jump Lenore showed him, I remember he talked about it. He goes, the jump Lenore showed me was very impressive. And in his rookie season, Lenore had a lot of personal issues he had to deal with, and that was clouding him. And I think he really came in, prepared himself for training camp last year. And you could see the difference in Lenore. And this year, I want to see an even bigger increase in development from Diamaro and Lenore. So we got a big splash. We got a splash. We just got a splash, ladies and gentlemen. We got a splash real quick. But yeah, as far as Ambry Thomas, I just want to see him improve on what he can do this year. I want to see him get better and better and better through training camp and show that he's better than what he was a couple years ago. Big splash. The Colts are trading 5-time Pro Bowl cornerback Stephon Gilmore to the Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. The Cowboys have finally made a splash. Colts are trading Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys per Adam Schefter. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a splash for the Cowboys. Woo! Not for us, though. Splash for the Cowboys. There we go. There it is. Splash bonanza. Wow. Big move. Big move. Cowboys. Okay, so here's the trade. The Colts are sending Pro Bowl cornerback Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys for a 2023 fifth-round compensatory pick. A fifth-round compensatory pick. They got nothing. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wow. Debo's live on Instagram. What a day. I'm about to hop off, but I just wanted to recap Emmanuel Mosley and Aziz Al-Shaair. Shout out to both of those guys. I love y'all. Let's hope that they both have good careers from here on out. We're going to lose some players. It is what it is. Trust the process. Keep the faith. We'll see what else the 49ers do. I love you guys. Have a good rest of your day.